Today's guest is someone who truly lives at the intersection of motivation, strategy, and transformation. Anthony Sharp is a certified digital career strategist, certified professional resume writer, adjunct faculty member, workforce development leader, and the chief branding officer of Branding You. But beyond the credentials, Anthony is what he calls a motivation curator. He's helped students, transitioning service members, job seekers, and seasoned professionals move from frustration and self-doubt to clarity, confidence, and meaningful employment. From leading large-scale employment workshops across the country to teaching ethics and leadership in higher education, Anthony has built a career around one powerful idea. That is, when you be you and believe in you, you become the blessed you. He specializes in helping people tell their career stories with authenticity, strategy, and impact on paper, online, and in person. If you've ever wondered why your resume isn't getting traction, or how to navigate a career pivot with confidence, or how to stand out in today's AI-driven hiring world, you're going to love this conversation. Anthony, welcome to People in Transition.
Morning, Bob. Thank you for having me. It's so great to be here with you.
Anthony, let's jump right in. Let's start with a foundational issue. You review lots of resumes. What are your biggest myths that job seekers are still believing about resumes? And what's the reality about resumes in today's hiring market?
Great question. So the first myth is that AI helped me write this, so it should get through everything and into the hands of a human. The second myth is the employer is going to find the right fit for me. Everything's on there. But the truth is that even though AI is our assistant in this day and age, we still need to maintain our human voice to make sure that the resume is written by us, because we know our entire employment history. We know what we've done, what we've accomplished, and all of the things. And so we need to ensure that that language sounds like us. And secondly, as it ties into that, the employer, they're not going to make time to find the right fit for us. We need to ensure that the resume speaks and aligns to the role that we are applying for. So when they open it up and see it, they know exactly that this person took the time to not only read the job description first, but everything from their branding statement all the way down to their work history, coupled with volunteer experience, aligns with the role.
You know, Anthony, tailoring a resume and LinkedIn profile or whatever other social media you might be using sounds really great in theory, I believe, but it can feel exhausting and overwhelm you with things that you have to do. How can someone strategically tailor their material for a specific role without spending hours on every single application?
Awesome question. So with this is that to make this more bearable is to understand the importance between both of them, the resume. And this came out of someone who put this in a chat message from a job seeker summit that I attended virtually. And shout out to Angie Callen, who was the host of that. The resume is just a snapshot. It's a snapshot of your professional history. We're not going to put everything in there because we don't want it to look like a sardine can where we're taking up a lot of space and it looks chunked, but it's actually a breathable document that an employer can read. The LinkedIn profile is a story. It's telling a story and this requires a specific strategy. So starting from our headline, which is that section right up underneath our name, it's going to speak to the formula for that is stating what position it is that we're specifically looking for, the one that we want to be considered for, that we're looking for, followed by our previous role, followed by our 3 core competencies, our strongest strengths, followed by a value add statement that speaks to the X factor that we bring to the table. And then moving into the about me statement, that should speak to first, right out the gate, that value add statement that you bring, followed by what it is that you do, why you do what you do, some of the highlighted accomplishments that highlight your work, and then a forward mission about what it is that you're looking for in your next role. So that's the strategy with LinkedIn for our resumes. It's still all of the same sections that we know, our summary statement that summarizes what we've done as it aligns with the role that we're going for, followed by the work experience, just a handful of bullet points that are accomplishment based and not responsibility based, followed by our education, awards, certifications and licenses, and volunteer experience. And of course, if there is military experience, definitely including that in the experience as well. So it's really taking everything one piece at a time, from building the resume section by section, and then rolling everything over strategically and placing it into the LinkedIn profile to tell that story. So we don't need to take everything on all at once, because then we'll become paralyzed and figure out, oh, I don't know where to start, or I'm done, I'm giving up. But taking each piece of everything that you're assembling together and breaking it down piece by piece.
Anthony, I think that brings us to ATS, applicant tracking system, which many of my clients feel that that is a very mysterious box out
Hmm.
there. And then add on to that, we hear optimize your resume for the applicant tracking system. Can you help us? What does that really mean? And how far should someone go with keywords and formatting and so forth before it really becomes overkill and you don't get any return on the time?
Great question. So we know definitely the ATS is one of those things that has taken the joy out of job searching, if you will. We now have to specifically align it with this entire system, which employers are using. They're using their form of AI to help make the process more simpler for them. And so for us, so we don't get too caught up in the ATS system, is knowing that it's here, that even though it is filtering out those candidates who don't align with the role, it can make mistakes as well. And so essentially what it means is it's ensuring that our resume is in a presentable format that's clear, that's concise, and that makes sense, and the employer can see everything. In addition to the format, there's the focus on what we have heard so much about keywords. So if in the job posting it says proficiency in Microsoft Office, we want to ensure that somewhere within our summary statement that there's a line that speaks to that. If we were to put it in our core competency section, we may state the whole thing, or we may abbreviate it and say Microsoft Office, which shows that that is a competency that we do possess, that aligns with the job posting. And when it comes to the responsibilities of it, what we don't want to do is we don't want to just straight copy and paste those responsibilities and stick them in the work experience that aligns with it. What we want to do is we want to draft the resume bullet for that particular work experience to show that we not only did the duty, but we also accomplished something with it. So if one of the bullets is provide quality customer service to a wide variety of customers, my bullet is not going to read provided quality customer service, because the employer is going to think, okay, so what? So did I do that? My team members did that as well at one point in time. We're doing that now. But if I said provided quality customer service by answering customers' questions, inquiries, and empowering them to making decisions on the product, what their choice is, ensuring or resulting in an increase in customer satisfaction by 95%. Or we could start off the bullet and say increased customer satisfaction rates from 50 to 90% by doing XYZ. So that way the employer can see, okay, yes, you have done this. Those keywords of providing quality customer service are there, but you have achieved something doing it. And so we want to ensure that the resume is written to including those keywords and phrases that are in there, but definitely speaks to the accomplishment of what we did. Because even though it's going to go through that ATS system, we eventually, the goal is for it to reach human hands to see it or to bypass that system to get into the hands of the human eventually, whether it's HR or the recruiters themselves. And so we want to ensure that we're not overwhelming ourselves by making sure that it has to be to the letter, but it definitely aligns closely to what the job posting is asking for, making sure also that we're not inserting tables, we're not inserting columns, but we are just using the Word document or the Google Doc and typing everything on it from top to bottom. And of course, we're doing formatting things to make sure that it's presentable, but making sure that the fonts are consistent. It's a consistent size. All of the section headers are there. So the employer, when they read it, everything makes sense. The message is clear. And again, can't say it enough. It aligns with the posting.
Anthony, you used the term 95% in your example. I've heard people say that it's a good idea where you possibly can to put numbers in there, percentages, numbers, because that helps to describe to the reader, that human person, a sense of your volume and velocity in that area. Any reaction to that?
Yes, absolutely. That is the foundational piece to each and every single resume that is written out there for any role that we're going for. It doesn't matter if it is an administrative assistant at a doctor's office, if it's a higher C-suite executive level, because quantifiable data is what shows and demonstrates our value and the nature and the level of responsibility that we've been able to carry, to manage, to oversee, and to help increase or decrease. And by decrease, for example, if I created something, a system or a spreadsheet to help me effectively track inventory or whatever the case may be, resulting in a decrease in man or woman hours by this percentage or this amount of hours. That's showing proof because again, going back to what I was saying in the previous question, we're not just stating things, stating bullets to just say, yes, this responsibility, I did it, here it is. Again, the thought is going to be, so what? I've done it. Everybody else on this team has done it. The person who just promoted and they've done it as well and done some more things. But what does that accomplishment look like? I need to see that you did this. Okay. And one of the phrases that I always, whenever I'm reviewing resumes and I see those quote unquote, so what bullets, my question I always type and highlight is what happened as a result of your efforts? Because that's what the employer wants to know. So you did this. This was great. You led this team. Wonderful. What happened? You stepped in to serve as the leader of the team in the absence of the primary leader. What happened? Did you receive recognition? Did you receive an award for demonstrating exemplary leadership? Did you increase something? There's got to be some result somewhere to show the employer that you're applying for to let them see this is the nature that you can trust me to monitor this budget of up to 150,000 to 500K. You can trust me to oversee this equipment valued at $2 million. All these different things to show, yes, okay, I can trust you. You're reliable. trustworthy. Oh, these are the great things that you did. And the great part about it is when we talk about an accomplishment, especially if it's something that's still in use today, even though we're not there, that shows our impact. And so when we're applying for positions and outlining those resumes, we always want to keep that question in the back of our minds. What happened as a result of my efforts? What was this for? Yes, you did this, but what is this for? We do not want any employer looking at our resumes and asking those questions of, so what next? We want them to read each accomplishment statement to know the value, what we contributed to, what we created, what we brought about. And some clients of mine will sit in and pose the question they're thinking, oh, I don't know. I'm not sure what is. I'm like, let's dig deeper. Let's, again, and sometimes people, they're kind of scared to brag and talk about what they did. I'm like, we're trying to get the job. So let's talk about it. And sometimes I make it as simple as this. If we're talking about customer satisfaction rates, and I remember working with a client and then I asked, how was the rate when you got there? Oh, it was horrible. Okay. So since you were there for 3 years, how much did you increase it? Oh, completely turned it around. Okay, wonderful. And sometimes they may give me a story about a particular customer who they went yards and yards beyond the call of duty to retain and keep them. Okay, we want to mention that as well. But let's talk about all those details, but let's show them what that percentage increase is so they can see, oh, okay, this person doesn't play around. They believe in putting the customer first. And here's the evidence of that.
Anthony, some of our listeners are in transition right now as they are listening to this. How can someone confidently address employment gaps, layoffs that they experience, or a major career pivot, both on their resume as well as when they're doing the interview? And what we don't want to do is have them sound defensive or apologetic about any of those events that they've gone through.
Absolutely, absolutely love this question. 3 words I tell each of my clients, including the job seekers who I teach right now. Those 3 words are own your story. And by that, I mean, there's no need to become defensive about whatever the reason for the gap was. You did not see the layoff coming and that zapped you. There was some internal toxicity that was going on at the company that led to you being wrongfully terminated, laid off. You took some time off for personal management, medical management, caregiver. You were the executor of your family members' affairs and you took care of them until the date of their expiration. Nothing wrong in that. No harm in that. Own your story. That's something that you made the intentional decision to step away and do. And there's ways that we can vouch for that. One of my job seekers in the class I teach, because I teach for a workforce development board for the state of Connecticut on Zoom, and the gentleman was the stay-at-home dad. He was taking care of his 2 daughters while his wife went to work at the school near where they lived. So he participated in our program, was getting everything and helping him update his resume and everything else. And on his resume, he included in his work experience him being a caregiver. But the job title was caregiver. The employer we just put was private household, comma, the city and state in which he lived and the dates, and then listed some of those things that he did, which were, of course, all transferable skills, managing schedules, providing meals in a timely manner in accordance with the children's dietary needs, doctor's appointments, all these things that he's doing that rolls over into the role that he was going for, which was an educator role. So definitely time management is part of the job and many other things, mitigating emergencies, whatever that is. And so we put those bullets in there, about 3 to 5 bullets in there to speak to his caregiving roles, but also aligning them with, as they transferred over to his role, I wanted to transition into becoming an educator. He's applying for positions, not getting anything. Eventually, he goes for the interview, gets hired. Wonderful, sweet spot of the story is the school he applied to is the school that his wife works at, and now they carpool to work together. He stated to us that the hiring team was impressed of the fact that he put his caregiving experience in his resume. And so it's something that we don't want to step away from. Take a moment and breathe before answering that question so you can settle into your seat before you tell your story. And it doesn't need to be anything that too long. It can just be a nice short little snippet. So I'd say something in the interview to the effect of, yes, the reason for my gap from 2024 to 2026 is I was the executor over my grandmother's affairs, and I took some time off to be her primary caregiver until her date of expiration about 2 months ago. I took that time to settle all of her affairs, and now I am ready to re-enter the workforce. I'm still passionate about the work that I do. From what I saw from your company, this aligns perfectly with my personal and professional values. It's right in line with the work that I've been doing for years and love it and want to continue doing it up until the day of retirement. So that's a snapshot, owning my story, not sounding defensive at all, but still saying that this was at one point in my life, this is what it was. And now I'm ready to return back to workforce and I'm ready to restart this new chapter of my life with you if you'll have me. And the great part about this is in LinkedIn, and I believe this is genius. God bless whoever came up with this. In LinkedIn, they have a section that you can add to your profile called career break. And they have more than 10 reasons on there, just to name a few: caregiver, sabbatical, continued education, and a few others. And you can select whichever answer applies to your situation and put the dates in there and put a little blurb, a nice summary blurb in there. And the great part about this is too, if that did take a lot of your time, whatever that was, we want to make sure that we are still keeping our ears to the ground, still learning, keeping our knowledge fresh and current up to date, and stating, because what would be a plus to add to that answer is what have I been doing to keep my knowledge of fresh and current for the career field so I can bring that new knowledge into the role. But all in all, own your story and tell it from your heart with passion, that humble yet firm confidence that yes, this was a time in my life where I took some time off for this, but now I'm ready to return to the workforce if you'll have me.
There are so many job boards, platforms, AI tools, coaches. What is a smart, modern job search strategy actually look like in 2026?
In 2026, I will say that a modern job search for 2026 definitely right out the gate is networking. There are individuals who we are connected to, who we went to school with, who we used to work for, who we used to work alongside, who we're hopefully still in touch with, some who are our references, who we can reach out to for assistance in helping us find something. And that involves providing them with an updated copy of our resume to let them know specifically what we're looking for. And while we're doing our work on our own, to lean on our network to help us. If we're looking on LinkedIn and there's a role that we want to apply for, there's a way to go into LinkedIn to see if you have any first or second degree connections to anyone there, and asking your network if they wouldn't mind leveraging an introduction of you to that person, to helping us get one step closer to the gatekeeper, to reaching out and letting them know that we're interested in applying for the role, or we may have just already applied to the role, and now we're following up as to next steps and speaking to them about the value add that we're bringing to the table. We can search using our filters on LinkedIn. As soon as we log into the homepage, in the search bar, we can type the phrase, quote, "I'm hiring," and we'll say, for example, software engineer. So I'm hiring software engineer, end quote, press enter. Filter out the search results by selecting the posts tab, and you'll be able to see the exact hiring managers or recruiters who have posted that job. And you can from there apply for the role and then comment to the person that you just apply your name that you just recently applied for said role, and you look forward to having a conversation with them and the hiring team to discuss how you can bring your expertise to help with XYZ, whatever those factors are. In addition to that, it's more than just we have our preferred methods that we can go, but it's mainly keeping the human element within this process. So leaning on our network when if we're applying on the company's website, which is to the direct source, reach out and try to find someone who's there at that company where we can follow up and connect with staffing agencies and recruiters within the vicinity of where I live, and not just showing up one time, starting my profile, and then I go away and go silent, but checking in throughout the day so they can hear your voice and hear from you that you're excited, that you want this just as bad as they're going to bat to work for you.
Anthony, you've coached so many people through transition.
Mhm.
What's the one job search habit you wish everyone would start this week? And the flip side of that, what's the one habit that you wish they would stop doing immediately?
Great question. The one thing I will say is be intentional about your search and know what you're looking for. Which brings me to the flip side of it, and we talked about this at the Job Seeker Summit, is to not wing our job search anymore. Please, 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 pretty please. If someone's asking you, what are you looking for? You're looking for help. Please stop saying anything. Because if I told you that somebody is paying $60 an hour to go shovel cow dung on the back of a truck in whatever season that we're in, and it's 8 to 10 hours a day, and you get overtime, benefits, and all the things, you will probably tell me no. You may consider it because the package and the salary, but is that the type of environment you want to be in? Can your nose and stomach muster that? Whatever it is, because you may be at the place where you're like, no, I don't want to do this anymore. And I've had job seekers say that, like, you know what, I don't want to do this anymore. I don't mind supervising people. I don't want to do a big group anymore. I want to supervise a smaller group. Okay. So have that and set the intention of what it is that you want, not what you don't want, because we can create something that's as long as two football fields put together, and then we sink into depression and wonder how we got here. But when we set our intention about what is specifically it is that we're looking for, our focus and our energies are going to attract and latch on to that. So when we start searching and know what we're looking for, we're going to know exactly who to go to. We will know what to tell our network, who's there to help us. That helps them help us effectively because we know what we're looking for and we can tell them these same things.
Anthony, in the last minute that we have here, you believe in a weekly job search routine. What are the key components of that routine?
The key components of that routine is setting your intention right out the gate. You know what you're looking for. You know what positions you're looking for. And so you're going to zoning your focus on that and then start your process. Set the tone and the pace for your search for the week. It may be 3 a day. It may be 5 a day. Totally up to you, but certainly making sure that you treat it like a job. Because as we've been told and have heard, a job search, it is a job. And so you set the tone of when it's going to start, when you're going to take a break, when you're going to end it for the day. Making sure you check in with you to make sure that you're okay, you're balanced, you're not feeling overwhelmed, and then getting back in there when it's time. I always tell job seekers, it is a lot, but you don't want to have a heavy volume. Don't feel like, oh, I need to get 20 in by the end of Friday. You're going to overwhelm yourself because maybe two of those apps may have an assessment that may be over 40 questions long, which can work on the brain and the emotions as well. But setting the tone for that and reaching out to our networks and also following up. And another piece I will say to this, because this ties into this process when we think about ghosting and other things. And why isn't the employer calling me back? Oh my goodness. They probably just looked past it. We always must keep in mind that there are reasons behind the curtain that we know nothing about. We don't know if the reason the employer hasn't gotten back to us is because maybe the deadline date hasn't passed yet. Maybe there was an emergency with the recruiter. Maybe their family had an emergency. Maybe there's a hiring freeze. Maybe something happened at the company. Maybe it did go to someone else. Maybe HR is only comprised of one or two people juggling 200 plus applications. It could be a myriad of reasons. And so it's important for us to, in the midst of our job search and our strategy, to remind ourselves that we're not the problem. There's other things beyond our control. All I can do is apply, network, follow up, reach out to my network to help me find a way to, and once I've done all that I can do for each of those roles that I'm applying to move on to the next one. Because when we put ourselves in all of our eggs in one basket, we'll sit here and waste a whole bunch of time that we could have used to strategically apply for other roles that we're interested in. We may skip something, miss an opportunity, miss even a networking opportunity because we're still hoping that this is the one that will respond back to us. And what we don't want to admit to ourselves, but it's real, our recruiters, HR managers, and talent acquisition managers deserve vacations too. They deserve time with their family, allowing ourselves to take it one day at a time, to breathe, set the intention, reset strategy if we need to, be open to learning new ways and new strategy of how to do something, how to go about it. But the intentional decision is up to each and every single job seeker to remain focused, set the tone, set the strategy, keep the faith, keep doing the work, switching things up from time to time, incorporate a handful of maybe two bucketfuls of patience in there, and eventually we will find the right role that's meant for us. Us and that employee that we're looking for, we will find each other in the process. And I'm close with this story. We were having the same conversation in one of these sessions that I was facilitating, and one of the students in my class, he has this very stern look when he looks at the camera. And so he was putting in the chat, he's like, yeah, I'm still waiting. Recruiter hasn't said anything. So I'm just, and I'm like, okay, like I completely understand, like, just give it a minute. Sometimes we never know what's going on. So we're, again, talking about this very same topic. And in the midst of it, I happen to look at the chat. A message pops in. It's from him. And he says, hey guys, I just got a call from the recruiter. He apologized to me and said that he was sorry for not getting back to me as he had a family emergency. And he ended up getting the job. And this is exactly what I mean. We want to keep the human element in this whole entire process and not lose it. Even though AI is our assistant, we use it for what we need to use it for strategically and intentionally, but we don't want to lose the human experience of this.
Anthony, this has been such a powerful message, and I really appreciate all your thoughts, tips, and techniques. And I'm
Thank you.
so excited about the concept of be you and believe in you. Thank you so much for joining us on People in Transition. And until next time, keep moving forward. Your next chapter is waiting for you. Thank you, Anthony.